But I have to say that Storage Wars it's a big giggle in my world because we don't find interesting things. I mean, there's always an old mattress that was stored without being properly wrapped. And occasionally here in the South, we find taxidermy deer heads. Those are entertaining, especially when they've been stored in a non-climate controlled unit.
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and we talk all things money and business. Today's episode is sponsored by freemoneytipsbook.com, freemoneytipsbook.com. Download your free ebook. Get started on your financial journey today. On today's episode, I get to interview Alese Johnston with Storage Trader. We're going to talk about Storage Wars, the TV show, and also how you need to get started in investing in storage units. Hi, Alese. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. How are you today?
Hey, I'm fabulous. I'm delighted to finally get to meet you.
Yeah, same. I'm super excited about today's episode, but why don't we first start with your story, talk about how you got to what you're doing today.
Oh, it's kind of a long and winding story. So, I was the first person in my family to go to college. I managed to do that on a National Merit Scholarship. Bless their hearts for funding those things. And then post-college, early in my career, I got fascinated with how technology was developing, and because that was, like pre-laptops back in the dark ages. And so I went back to night school to learn how to code. As a single mom, that was kind of entertaining. That was, before we could just go online and take classes that way. So, um, and then I went to work at Systematics, which was the startup financial tech company that eventually became FIS Global, which is the world's leading developer of financial software for banks. Um, they went through several acquisitions, and I didn't like the way the culture changed. That happens a lot. So I bailed ship and started my own consulting company and spent the next few decades wandering around the country doing acquisition conversions and software upgrades for some of the biggest banks in the country. And so I made a little coin doing that and needed some place to park it other than the stock market. So I started doing real estate investing. And I have to say, I actively hate single family homes as as an investment vehicle. They're a lot of work, and you get so wound up in your tenants' lives, and it's just it didn't suit my personality having to deal with stopped up toilets and that sort of thing. So my daughter brought me, she was a real estate agent at the time. She brought me a self-storage listing, and I went through that process, and we acquired our very first storage facility, and I've been hooked on that as an investment vehicle ever since.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Getting the calls on Christmas and Thanksgiving or Sunday evening when the toilet is stopped up, and who's going to help them at that point other than paying a crazy fee for someone to come out right away. So
Right?
I don't miss the single family investments at all. So that's incredible. I love that. But you've also accomplished a lot in your life too. So I know
Oh,
you kind of you breezed over that story, but to be an industry leader in the fintech world and do what you do, you have some incredible accomplishments behind that as well.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's I get fascinated with learning new things and really focusing in on them.
Yeah, that the curiosity piece of that, so important whenever we're talking about money and business and growing and building wealth, you have to be curious.
Well, nobody hands it to you. So you have to be curious and take the initiative. And I've spent a lot of time at the gym on the uh, oh, I can't think of the name of this machine, but it's kind of like a treadmill, but it's more of like a bike. Anyhow, whatever you call it, reading books on how to invest in the stock market and how to do options. So I'm kind of a big nerd about learning new things and how to make money, how to invest money. And I think as women, we have to put some energy into doing that. Uh, Not to knock the guys who are part of the old boys club, but they don't seem to share their knowledge. So we have to actively go get it.
Yeah, but that's a great tip there. A lot of people have made these New Year's resolutions to work out. Instead of listening to music while you're on that platform or, the treadmill or whatever it is in the gym, throw on a podcast, learn more about something, invest in that education so that you can further yourself.
Yes. There's such a wealth of podcasts that are really useful information. You just, put in your earbuds and learn something new every day.
Yeah. So let's talk about storage. So you started your journey yourself investing in storage. Where did you go from there?
So there's a lot of synergies between managing a storage facility and managing a banking project. It's just project management. And if you break it down and organize it that way and focus on customer service and project management and managing your employees, it's kind of all the same thing. It's just so many businesses are the same. And so I felt like I kind of knew how to do it from day one. And we engaged our conversion skills into getting the data off of the platform that it was on into the platform that we wanted to run for each one that we acquired. I don't know. It's an investing kind of, I never treated it as passive. Like you can tell I was actively involved in it because I'm curious. I wanted to learn. I didn't want to hand it off and let somebody else run it for me. Like I wanted to prove that I could do it really well. And we were very successful with our storage facilities.
Very nice.
Like last year when I got divorced, I had to sell them my whole portfolio in order to settle the divorce, and sold them the whole portfolio for 3 times what I had bought them for.
Hmm.
And I thought that was a pretty good investment of money, time, and energy. So now I'm busy getting back into the industry. It's like I'm finding new ones to buy.
Yeah, and you didn't have to deal with leaky toilets on a Christmas day.
Right? No, never.
Yeah. So being that you're really studying the industry, you're curious, you're a student, you've been in the investment side of storage. Where do you see us going in the future here in the US?
Storage wise, so we're seeing people, I don't know how old you are, but your age and younger, buying smaller homes or staying in apartments much longer than some previous generations. But we as Americans have not lost our fascination with stuff.
Mhm.
So people still have like a ton of Christmas decorations, or they have all their kids' toys they can't let go of. So we still need places to store all that extra stuff that won't fit in our apartments or our smaller houses. And so that is a very well documented trend and really lends to there being a strong need for self-storage.
Yeah, I don't think that that's going away.
I don't think it's going away. I think it's just getting stronger.
Mm.
So we're seeing a lot of construction in the self-storage industry because people are catching on that it's a really good market, and the cap rates are really good right now. It's kind of, I say cap rates are good. It depends on which side you're on. If you're selling, the cap rates are great. If you're trying to buy, they suck. So, you have to negotiate well if you want to buy them. It's
Yeah.
easy to just build them. right now.
That's what I was gonna ask you. As an investor, is it easier, for the returns to build, or are you looking for something that's already existing?
Right now, we are building. I actually have one under contract that's an existing but brand new facility that was built by someone who's an apartment builder. And he didn't really want to be in the storage industry. He just, had some land that seemed like a good project. So we're taking that over and doing our magic with it. I really want to focus in the coming few years on building climate control. I think if you combine the need for more storage with the fact that the weather is getting hotter and more difficult all
Mm.
over the country, I don't see the point in building drive up facilities with no climate control at all. Um, you may not be aware, most people are not, that the regular storage unit, that little metal box that you put your stuff in, stays about 30 degrees hotter than the
Wow.
ambient outdoor temperature.
I believe that. I have a friend who has a storage unit in Texas, and when she went to, she got a divorce, was looking for a place for a few months, pulled her stuff out of storage, and like her shoes had melted, purses had melted, but she had no idea. So she didn't look for that climate control. So that's a really important fact for people to know if you're putting your stuff in storage. Climate control, especially in the warmer states like we are, I'm in Florida, is so important. Otherwise, you might as well just toss everything in the trash.
You might as well.
Yeah.
We're not good at that.
Yeah. So
We
I'm
really honestly wanted to keep those shoes.
You're right. Yeah. So I'm a little fascinated by the show, Storage Wars, and I know it's
Ah,
reality TV. So being that you're a storage unit owner, how much validity is in that type of TV show, or what do you do? What happens when people don't pay their bills as a storage unit?
So there is a legal process you have to follow when people don't pay their bills, and they're allowed a certain amount of time. It may vary state to state. In Arkansas, it's 90 days before I can auction your stuff off. And I have to go through a lot of notification process and, give you an opportunity to pay your way out. And um, but eventually we get to auction stuff off and get our unit back so we can rent it to somebody who will pay. Um, but I have to say that Storage Wars it's a big giggle in my world because we don't find interesting things. I mean, there's always an old mattress that was stored without being properly wrapped. And occasionally here in the South, we find taxidermy deer heads. Those are
Mhm.
entertaining, especially when they've been stored in a non-climate controlled unit. We once found a beautiful old piano,
Hmm.
and sadly not climate controlled, so all the glue and the lamination
Hmm.
done unfortunate things. Um, We once auctioned a unit that had a 1920s, 1930s Renault car in the back,
Wow.
and it was a little vehicle, like think
Mhm.
Volkswagen.
Right.
It was stuffed in the back of the unit and covered up with boxes. So we couldn't see that it was in there until they started cleaning the unit out and found it. So that was entertaining. Um, but that's really the exception. Usually it's just junk.
Yeah, because if it was worth value, you would think that the owners would find a way to pay the bills or at least get it out, before they reach that time.
Well, one would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
One would think. We did unfortunately have to auction off a unit a couple years ago that uh this poor woman who had no family had moved into a nursing home.
Mm.
So somebody came and moved all of her household, everything she owned in the world, into a storage unit. And she had arranged to deal with a nursing home that they were to pay the storage bill. Well, our contract wasn't with them, it was with her. They didn't honor the agreement. But
Mhm.
then while it was in lien status and we were trying to work things out to get paid, because we sure didn't want to auction her stuff off, she passed. And so then we had to go through the whole probate process. And that one kind of broke our heart. Nobody in her family ever showed up to claim her
Mm.
goods. And it was so sad. But you run into stuff like that
Yeah.
occasionally.
So don't
You
expect to become a millionaire by going to auctions of storage units.
No. No.
All right. So, for the listeners that might be thinking about getting into investing in storage units, what are some things that you could teach them that they should know or should look for when they're learning this process?
So be sure and like if you're investing in an opportunity that somebody else is packaging, be sure and read the performa. Be sure you understand what they're offering as return on your investment. If you are buying it for yourself, uh, you need to really learn how to assess a storage facility. Like, make sure that the income that you see on the offering memorandum is real. Like, demand to see the rent rolls, and I have gone so far as to insist on seeing the bank deposits to prove that they were actually putting that much money in the bank. Um, do an inspection. Make sure that somebody professional uh, signs off that, there's no problems with the roof and all the things you would do if you were buying a house.
Right. Very similar. And what are some things that, as a storage owner, what are some additional revenue streams that you either implement or know of that people can help generate more income from that type of asset?
So some people, especially urban storage facilities, will have an office that they man where they sell boxes and packing tape, those sorts of things. They're convenience items for someone who's moving, and you can make a little money off of that. You can also do lockers, and like Amazon delivery boxes
Hmm.
are an interesting line of revenue these days. Uh, you can have a sign on your property, like a digital electronic sign where you sell advertising.
Mm-hmm.
We're really fond of that right now. Most facilities will have an insurance or tenant protection program,
Mm-hmm.
and you typically get a cut of that revenue with the company that actually does the insuring. Um,
That's a good point too, because you have insurance as the owner of the storage facility. But if I'm putting my own personal items into that unit, your insurance doesn't cover it.
that is correct.
Yeah. So I'll want to get my own insurance to protect my own items. And that's something you guys can help facilitate as well.
Absolutely. We always have an arrangement with an insurance provider, and my facilities get discounted rates because of the level of technology that we apply to controlling access and
Mm.
security on our facilities. But regardless of the cost, you have got to have coverage, and you as a renter need to double check with your home insurance provider that they will cover the stuff that you have put in storage. Some will, some won't. So you need to have that conversation. Um, what we do at our facilities is insist when you move in that you are covered immediately by the insurance that we provide.
Hmm.
So that's an added expense, but we just automatically add that to your account. If you want to not have that insurance, then we ask you to bring us a copy of your declarations page for your homeowner's insurance, showing that they will cover your contents.
Yeah. And
Uh, we just don't want you to lose the stuff you put in storage. And I hate telling people when something happens that we're not responsible. We're like, read your contract.
Yeah. And here in Florida, I used to own an insurance agency.
Ah,
That is not very common to cover your personal property outside of your home. You have to have like an off-premise, rider that's in there. And unless you know what that is, you're probably turning it down because it costs extra money. And
yeah,
most times it's not included. So it's so much easier and cheaper just to go through your facility, have it part of your monthly payment, and making sure your stuff is protected. Otherwise, again, you go back to why are you keeping it if you're not going to protect it?
exactly. It's a
Yeah.
really good question. Yeah, but some people will pass on that little bit of extra expense, and it's not much. It
No.
could be an extra 10, $15 a month, but in the grand scheme of things, here in the South, if a tornado comes through, you sure want to have that coverage because
You're
we
not liable.
facility owners are not liable to take care of your piano that you put in there. So,
Yeah. So I know you're currently working on getting back into more storage investing. What other projects are you working on?
well, we're actually in the middle of an acquisition right now. We're very busily trying to get back into storage investing. I also am writing a book that's our step-by-step guide on how to do a storage takeover well, how to buy a storage facility and not lose all the customers that are generating the revenue that were really the basis for your acquisition. Um, Unfortunately, I've seen people buy storage facilities and immediately lose, 20-30% of their customers because of the way they handled the takeover. And I'd like to see that not happen to people. So that's why we're writing that book. I also am in the really early stages of writing a book titled Being 69. That's how old I am this year. And I felt like it might be important to talk to my age mates about living your most authentic life at this age and having fun.
Yeah, I'm
So,
excited for the first book. The first book. I'm not quite 69. I'm in my 40s, but it could be a good book for me to read for when I get there. But the
yeah,
first book that you
once
talked
you get
about,
there.
yeah, I'm such a nerd. I love learning about investing. So getting into like the real details behind, storage investing is fascinating for me too. So I know the audience would love to know more about that book. When do you think the storage book will be out for availability?
I'm thinking second quarter of this year.
Okay. We'll keep an eye out because yeah, the details and what not to do because you have so many years of experience, that's going to be a valuable thing for anyone looking to get into this field.
Oh, we're definitely going to spill the tea on a lot of things not to do. And
Yeah.
hopefully, people can learn from mistakes that we've seen made and a few that I've made. And yeah, we're gonna share all those details.
Awesome. Now, if someone's looking to find storage units, where are some places that you are finding maybe already built storage units that are available for sale? How do you find those listings?
So I maintain good relationships with a lot of realtors here in Arkansas that know what I'm looking for. Like they have a list of my requirements. So they call me when they have things. I also have my admin scouring Crexy, which is a good listing platform. And there might be another listing platform or two.
Yeah, and Crexy's free. You can sign up for that, so you don't necessarily have to hire a broker for it, but obviously if it's your first time, you need to get someone who's more educated than you.
Right? Yeah, I really prefer going through a broker. I don't like uh, deals that are not through a broker. They just feel awkward to me, and I get real concerned about whether we're doing everything legally or not. Uh,
Mhm.
so I know it costs extra to work with real estate agents, but I feel like they're worth every penny.
Yeah, you're paying for the expertise and the legal protection because then you're doing
Right.
documents that are already, approved by attorneys and widely used.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
awesome. All right, Elise, I have a fun question for you.
Uh-huh.
If you could have a superpower or super talent, what would it be and why?
Oh, the list could be really long, but if I had to pick just one, I would want to be able to teleport places. It would save on travel expenses and time unbelievably to just be able to poof somewhere else. And I mean, as a newly single person, a lot of the guys you meet on dating apps don't live around here. So it'd be nice to be able to, pop over to Wisconsin for coffee and it not be a big deal to go meet
Yeah.
somebody. And I could go look at storage facilities in New York and, Chicago and Florida, and distance wouldn't be a problem. So yeah, that would be my choice.
Awesome. Alese, if our audience wants to get to know you more, learn more about what you're doing, possibly invest with you, what's the best way for them to reach you?
So Alese, ALESE at storagetrader.com. And Storage Trader is my platform where we post storage facilities for investment. And you'll see my projects there and projects that are sponsored by other people around the country. If you're into doing a little passive investing, that's a really good place to find some opportunities.
Great. Storagetrader.com. Awesome website too.
Thank you.
Awesome, Elise. Thank you so much for your time and your insights today on investing in storages. I truly appreciate your time.
You're welcome. It was a delight to meet you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you so much for tuning into Empower Her Money podcast. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast, and leave a review wherever you are tuning in.